Okay, welcome to week 3. We are recording, and for those of you who are watching the replay, thanks for joining us. We do have Chris and it's Francia, right?
Yes.
And Francia here. So we are talking about week 3, which is going to kind of recap what we've already done. So we did it. We made it to week 3. Yay. Chris has been here with me all of the weeks so far. It was me and him last week. So Francia, feel free to come back.
Yes.
Hopefully the information won't be too overwhelming. I do try to go slow, but I naturally talk fast, so I apologize for speeding through. So here's what we've learned so far. In the very first week, we were talking about our belief system, and also we took a class on our product knowledge on how to learn more about the product so you can maximize your sales and your bookings. And we talked about the belief triangle, where when you believe you can't, what you believe or cannot, what you can or cannot do is what you're going to do, but your brain can be retrained. I always say your brain is not as smart as you think it is. It will believe anything you tell it. So keep that in mind. We learned last week we talked about booking shows, and we talked about talking to people when we're out and about and words to say when we were doing that. And we also learned that your passion for your business and for your products and for all of that stuff shines through, and that's what helps to influence purchases and bookings at your show. So this one is my actual favorite topic because I love host coaching. Host coaching, I always say that nobody knows how to have a great party. And if you are brand new with the business, or if you are restarting your business, you don't really know necessarily how to have a great show. So Pampered Chef actually has an entire host coaching course on Pampered Chef University. So if you haven't taken that training in a while, take it again. It's a great refresher to take about every 3 months, because you get into the habits, and this is the thing, like you get into the habits of what's working for you, and then you forget to go back and go, well, what was I doing? Usually what happens for me is I go in this lull where I have great shows, where I have 900 shows, $900 shows, $1,000 shows, and then I have like 2 months in a row where my average is like 5 something. And I go, well, what the heck happened? And really it's because I've stopped doing some of the principles in host coaching. So one of the things that I say, this is definitely one of my favorite sayings, is that host coaching is where you earn your paycheck, you go to your party to pick it up. So for those of you who are doing cooking shows, that's where this is definitely evident. If you're doing virtual shows, it's a little different, because you have to be present for a little bit longer for your virtual shows than just a one night show up and get paid. So, but definitely host coaching is going to help you with your virtual shows and your cooking shows alike. So how do I host my blah, blah, blah. How do I coach my host effectively, right? So I'm so glad you asked. All right, so I actually start my host coaching at my party, because I want, I know your guys are going to think, oh my gosh, I don't have any shows on my schedule. All right, so first thing is you need to get the shows on your schedule, because it is so much easier to do your job at your job, right? It is much harder to pick up a 700-pound phone like I did today to try to make phone calls to book your calendar, because you didn't do your job at your job. So I always, you always want to let your host know, set a goal with them. And I think we talked about this a little bit last week, but set a goal with your host that you can't close your party out until you have 2 bookings. And those 2 bookings are, 1, to replace the show you just did, and 1 is to grow your business. So that's why I always say 2 shows from every party. And there's a whole, booking 2 shows versus booking 1, there's a whole matrix that shows you how it definitely is much better for you. Even if you just rebook your host for 6 months down the line, we're going to have a new catalog. Let her rebook herself. It's totally fine. But I don't ever worry about time or the line when I'm talking to someone, because I want to give them my attention just like I'm going to give the next person my attention. And I do a full service checkout, and that's something that you can also learn more about in Pampered Chef University when you are taking some of the consultant courses. They're all free. They're about 20 minutes long. So beneficial, because there's a ton of information that you can do at your leisure. But you want to be able to give the person your time and your attention, and just talk to them when you're doing your checkout and say, hey, Francia, it was so good having you here at Chris's party. What was your favorite thing that we cooked tonight? And just making conversation. And oh my gosh, you were so great at that manual food processor. I noticed it was on your wish list, but you didn't put it on your order form. How about we get some friends together so you can get it for free? Yeah. Right? So you want to be able to ask them each question. So for me, I have host packets with me. I might have one in here because I was just mailing them out. Okay, here, haha, you're in luck. All right, so host packets. I use these clear envelopes from my girlfriend's house, and they're kind of fun mail because then you can pick all kinds of different prints. If you need some of these, I order in bulk. I know Bobby does too, and we usually go in together on the order, and we bring them to training. So if you want fun mail, this does go through as a large envelope. When you're doing this through the post office, they'll count it as a large envelope even though it's cellophane, and they'll still stamp it accordingly. But you want to make sure, I only ever put 2 catalogs in mine unless I have a host who asks me for a 3rd one, because I like my catalogs and their money. So, so also inside of your host packet, you want your 2 catalogs. You want to give them the specials.
For the month?
Yep, so I give them the specials for the month. So mine is a double-sided paper so that I'm only having to print it once. And then I give them 4 or 5 order forms. Now I use a generic order form, so you'll notice mine does not have the guest specials here, because I don't want to, at the end of the month, I don't want to throw away 30 unused for May. This will carry me on to June and July. And this is one I have digitally, so if you guys want it, I'll post it. It is set up for direct shipping, so if they're wanting to ship direct, it'll give them all the facts and figures down here. But this is the one I use because then I don't have to worry about the month, and I'm going to tell them at the party what the special is for the month anyways. On my lap boards, and ignore this one because I haven't changed it out yet. So on my lap boards, this is just this is how I take my stuff to my shows. This is just a cut-off binder, and they were 50 cents for the 1-inch binders on clearance. So I got 10 of them, and it made 20.
You cut it in half? Oh, okay, yeah. Nice.
So this was the spine that was connected to the little ring. So I just cut it off the middle ring, and then it has your pocket. So I put the order form and the catalog right in the slip here, and then the back I use my little lap board that has all the specials for the month. So that way I only have to print it once, and I don't have to waste the ink over and over again giving them a flyer. So that's for at my shows. But so in my host packets, I put the specials, I put the order forms, and then I also want to give them information on the business because I'm going to talk to them about this when I do my host coaching. And I also give them this host rewards chart. Now there is a digital version of this that is just a 2-sided document. This one's an old one that I refuse to get rid of because I'm still using them. But you can, and some of my newer ones, because this one was one I already loaded, but it's digital. You can type on it, print it out, and then it looks a little nicer. And then in my newest ones, I'm putting the little flyer insert for the summer products. So that way they can see all of that. So, so if you are using the envelopes, which are in here, if you're using these envelopes, I have to open it, sorry, that Pampered Chef has, these are amazing. And if you're using this, you do not have to use this. It's a double whammy, okay? But the digital version looks like this one, but it's only 2 pages. So these are the envelopes you can get from Pampered Chef to be able to put it all in one thing. These are great if you are passing them out at your shows. And my hosts love this. And this calls, if you're using the envelopes, you can get them in a pack of 4 on a supply order, but you have to use a 10 by 13 envelope because it doesn't fit in the 9 by 12 that I normally get. But it's gonna, and then I always tell them to make sure that they write this in a Sharpie, not in a pen. The pen will smear all over them. But it's gonna go through everything on here, and they really, really like that. But if I'm gonna mail that, it makes me mail it with more expensive. So if I'm mailing a host packet, I'm not sticking it in an envelope because it's $4 more to do it that way than it is to just stick it there. So, and then tell them to invite 40 people because, and we do have a host coaching, like a host list that you can email them that has, just like when you guys started, you remember the launch list that you have? It's the very same thing, except it says like guest invite list, but it's basically the same thing where it has them list 4 people that they work with, 4 family members, 4 friends, 4 digital contacts, those kind of things. And when they do that, you know, typically when they invite 40, it means about 15 are going to show up. And out of that, if he or she is able to get outside orders as well, that's going to be $1,000 show. You know, so typically the rule of thumb is, this is the formula for $1,000 party. 5 orders before you get there, 15 people at the show, and 5 orders after you've left. That means that your host is going to be getting 10 orders. So let's say, like this one says, if they invite 40 people, 20 friends, about half is going to say they can come, right? But out of those half, something's going to happen that day of, and people are going to be canceling like flies, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be canceling left and right, and your host is going to panic, thinking, oh my gosh, I've had like 6 people cancel today. That's completely fine. I'm still going to show up. I'm still going to do a great party for you.
Mm-hmm.
Your job is just to follow up with those 5 or 6 people who couldn't come tonight and just get their orders, because it's going to happen. And when you set her up with that expectation that she's going to have cancellations the day of, she's not as shocked by it when it happens.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is something I can also send you in a Word format if you want it, but this is basically the fridge reminder that you can print out and save. And I usually print it on blue or like a goldish orange color. So like a brighter color paper is what I'm going to print this on, because I want them to stick it on their fridge and remember it. So this wasn't going to say, you know, if they haven't created an account on Pampered Chef, you want to do it for them, you know, and then you can tell them, here's what your login is. It kind of helps them, but I usually give them the information so they can set it up themselves. And then I use a Red Stamp invitation. Do you guys use Red Stamp? Chris, do you use Red Stamp?
I have in the past. I haven't lately.
Okay, Red Stamp is amazing because it allows you to do a digital invitation that you can text message to them, and they can text out. It just saves it as a photo to their phone, and you can personalize it with pictures. And Pampered Chef has a ton of pictures that you can use and have access to.
Mm-hmm.
So what this is doing here is it's giving you basically a step-by-step breakdown of what you need to do to, you know, to build your host coaching. And it looks like a lot of steps, but really, if your host is reading this, she can already knock most of this out. It's basically telling her, hey, create your Facebook event, add me as a co-host. Do you want to know why that's important? How many of you create the events for your host?
I do usually, yeah.
Okay, so what happens is her friends don't see the event until she invites them. But if she creates the event, all her friends will see that faster than if you create it for her.
Okay.
So if she or he creates the event and then invites people, and it's going to kind of walk through, you know, collecting orders, shopping for ingredients. This one here is like, if she has 25 confirmed guests, not including me, you, kids, and dogs, I'll buy the groceries. I'll bring them with me because that's a great show. I'll buy the groceries for that. But posting a reminder, it gives her, you know, fill in dates for when you want all these things done. And then, so, you know, gives her all kinds of wahoos and things like that that she can go through. So this one is something, like I said, I can email you digitally or post digitally if you need it, because it's a great little help. But for some hosts, this could be a little overwhelming. So it doesn't necessarily work for all of them. But those hosts who are going to ask you all the time, okay, what do I need to do? What do you need me to do next? This is great for them because it gives them a step-by-step of what you need. And if you don't know what you need, this is a great step-by-step for you to know what you need to be coaching them on. You know, let's say they schedule a party for 2 weeks from now. You want to make sure that you're touching base with them at least every other day, every 3 days, checking in. How's their guest list coming? Have they been able to figure out what they want to earn for free? All of that stuff. So communication is the biggest thing that you need. And it's actually the biggest complaint. Pampered Chef did a survey. In case you guys did not know, Pampered Chef will send out surveys on your behalf that you are unaware of. They will send them to your host and your guests to get feedback on the show experience. And the biggest complaint that home office gets is that hosts don't know what they need to do next. Like, they don't know what their steps are. So when you are host coaching, you want to be able to develop a host coaching system that makes the difference between a mediocre show and a fantastic show. So your host needs to have a clear and concise path to follow the entire party, you know, for her goal to get to $1,000 show. And really, she doesn't have to have a goal to get to $1,000 party. You're going to have hosts that maybe repeat hosts who are never going to do more than 500 or 600 ever. They're just not. They're lower area or they make less or whatever. So you're not going to necessarily push her to a $1,000 show, but you always want to encourage that. And the question is would you rather go to a $300 party or a $1,000 party? At that $300 party, you're going to make $60, but at the $1,000 party, you're going to make $220 for the same amount of time. So which one would you guys rather do?
$1,000.
$1,000. So if you are coaching your host and you come up with a system that works and that's the thing, Pampered Chef has a system. We do a three contacts that you talk to your host at least 3 times, and it gives you a time frame. If you follow the host coaching course, like your first call with your host needs to be within 48 hours of booking her show. And I say phone call because I actually like the phone. If you're not a phone person, text, Facebook message, email, whatever is their best way to reach them, do that. And ask them that. Hey, what's the best way to reach you? Do you prefer a text message or a phone call? If they prefer text, okay, can you get text during the day while you're at work, or do you need me to text you at night? And ask for preferences, because that's going to make a huge difference. So if you were blindfolded, tell me if you were blindfolded, could you make a basket from the foul line? Like if you're shooting a basketball. Here, could anyone make that? No, you need to have so Shaquille O'Neal could probably do it, but that's a whole different training. But for us, no, we probably can't, because we don't know what we need to do. And that's the whole thing. So now what if I told you Shaq would take the ball out of your blindfolded hands and take it to the hoop? What would be your likelihood of making that basket now? You'd make it, right?
Yeah.
Because he's an experienced basketball player. It doesn't hurt that he's 7'1". And the goal is 10 feet. So, but he's using his God-given talents to the best of his abilities. And that's what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to take the ball from your host's hands and help her slam dunk and have a great party. She doesn't know how to have a good party. We need to show her how to have a good party. Okay, so here's some stuff that you can do is to contact your host weekly through various forms. So if you email your host every Monday, their next steps for their party, and then reinforce that fridge sheet I posted, post in their Facebook parties, which means their Facebook friends too. Every single day, post something. It can be a recipe. It can be a quick tip. It can be a product. It could be, I try not to do too much because I want them to still like me. But people don't cancel on people they like, right? So you want to build that relationship so that they like you and their friends like you. And I had a party where I was posting online, and I went to my show, and my host said, well, so-and-so can't be here tonight, but she already told me she's booking a party because she loves how you were doing the event. I'm like, all right, works for me. Give me her info. I'll call her before I leave. And we got that show on the schedule. So send them a red stamp invitation. If you're not using that, it is a great asset. If you're not tech savvy, then do something that works for you. But this one is a great one. They can save to their phone, text it out. I make sure that they understand the 40, 20, 15, 10 rule, which is the invite 40. 20 will say yes. 15 will show up, and she still needs 10 outside orders. And then give them the words to say to invite, and the words to say to remind, and the words to say if someone says no. Just like with us as consultants, when we're asking, Pampered Chef gives us a script of what to say to invite, of what to say to ask for people to book a show, of what to say if people say no. We want to be able to set our host up with the expectation that people are going to tell her no, and don't panic and change your date or cancel on me because 3 people said no, because you're going to have 10 people that still say yes. So also I do what I call theme shows, but every single show I do is a theme, because I can turn anything into a theme show. Like all of my shows for June are what am I calling them? Like Summer Spectacular. Who cares? Throw a name on it. Because when you put a name on it, like, oh my gosh, we're coming over for an ice cream social, or we're getting together for fajitas and margaritas, or we're getting together for Mexican fiesta, whatever it is, that sounds a whole lot better than, hey, come over, we're doing a cooking party. Right? So when you pick a menu with your host, put a spin on it. If she likes pasta, all right, let's do Italian made easy. And everyone's coming over for an Italian made easy party. Okay, I'll come to that. So you want to kind of put a name on it. And this one, pick recipes. It helps if you pick a recipe that you've already done at home. I am bold, and I will do one of Pampered Chef's recipes without trying it at home first, because my whole philosophy is Pampered Chef pays an entire test kitchen to do our recipes, so it's gonna be good. So I will usually just go to a show like, oh yeah, sure, let's do that. It's fantastic, and I'll make it for the first time there. Own it though. If you go there and make it and it's your very first time, act like you've made it 100 times and you're a pro at it, because then they're gonna be like, oh, yep, that's exactly how it's supposed to look. So own it. Fake it till you make it, right? Okay,
Yep.
so I always try to send them a red stamp reminder about 2 to 3 days before their show that they can text out as a reminder, because people are on their phones now more than anything. But I always say text it individually. Don't send it in a group text, because that makes a difference. I usually will mail a catalog to anyone that ever wants to look at it, but we also have a digital link that they can see the entire interactive catalog online, and they don't even need a physical catalog in their hands, but it's for those people who want a physical catalog. I'll still send it to them. And then I go over the host benefits before I leave that show. So when I book the show, I'm going to go over the host benefits right away, so I can tell her, hey, this is what we're working towards. What do you want for free? Okay, so what do you say on your weekly communications? Did you get your packet in the mail? If you mailed it, if you gave it to them at the show, if you did your job at your job and you gave them a host packet there, call them within 48 hours to go over the details of what's in the packet. Do I have your, so this is, now for me, I send, if I'm mailing them an invitation, I'm actually going to mail them, and I can post my thing, but I actually personalize the postcard invitations, but there's a template you can use. So I just change a few of the information and print it and stamp it on the postcards, because what I find is if you do the work for them, they'll pass them out. If you give them blank catalog, blank postcard invitations, they're going to give them back to you at the show and say, oh, I didn't use these, right? I use the postcards and I tell them, use those for as you're seeing people. Those are great fridge reminders. So you can pass them out to your neighbors, your coworkers, whoever, and let them know to, hey, don't forget to come. Facebook is a great reminder, but I always say don't let Facebook be the only way that you invite, because you will not have the turnout you're expecting. So if you're giving them postcards that have, you want to make sure that your stickers are, your information is correct before you send that packet, not after. So I'd probably change that to that's something you need to do before. How many invitations were you able to hand out? Has anyone said no yet? Okay. Did you ask them for an outside order? Did you see that when you have 25 confirmed guests, I'm going to bring the recipe ingredients? You know, you want to be able to ask these things. Can you post on your party a couple of times a week just to encourage people to come on over? How are the outside orders coming along? What are you most excited to get for free? Who's coming who could use some extra cash in their wallets? Ever thought about doing what I do? These are some things that you could say in your weekly communication. Now, Chris is coming to watch one of my shows next week. So something that I do is I take name tags for them to wear. I like to be able to address them by name. And as I'm sitting there with my host, I'm going to have her fill out the name tags for who she thinks is going to come. And then I say, and go ahead and put a star next to anyone's name that you think would host a party for you. Now, people are going to see someone's name with a star, someone's name without a star, but that's going to clue me in at checkout time where I can say, hey, so you know, Susie thinks that you would make a great host. That's why you have a special star on your name. You know, because she knows that you love to party or whatever. So that's something you can do on the fly. Okay, so I can send you some of your information, some verbiage if you'd like. Just send me an email. And really, I just copy and paste it. They're all notes on my phone. So I can send it out. And then that way I know I have a system. So, but the most important thing to do is to contact them weekly, because this keeps your host on track to make sure that she or he is going to have a great party. And then they're going to love seeing all the yeses on Facebook. So, so that's how you're going to get all those people to say yes. So, videos are a secret weapon. So I really believe, so this is actually from one of my friends who does a whole video series, and I have not made my own up yet, so I usually send hers out because I'm like, this is great information for you. But this one is basically we'll say what's in the packet and what you can expect for your party. And then the second one is basically, you know, here's how to have the house, and what to expect for the party. And always, you know, if you can use videos and personalize your own, and I can get these from Jennifer. I got to get her links again. But basically, you can send them through Facebook Messenger, because then you can see when they've read the message, right? Facebook Messenger is great for that because it timestamps it. So, hey, what did you think of that video? Do you have any questions? So maybe you're terrified to pick up the phone and call them. You could go through and make a video that you can send to all of your hosts, and you're not having to repeat the same information, right? Okay, so how do I track everything? My brain is not as smart as I think it is, right? So, I use an Excel spreadsheet, and that is something that I'm sure, basically you want to find a system that's going to work for you. If you are a digital person, you're going to want to go with a digital system. I'm a paper to pen girl, which is why my office always looks crazy, because I write and I need to have my hands on things, because I won't remember it without that. So, for me, I have an Excel spreadsheet for the month of all of my hosts, and then when I put them, as a date on my calendar, they go on my calendar, and I put the date on the spreadsheet. When I send them a Facebook request, I notate it so I know if we're not already friends on Facebook, I need to get them to accept my friend request so that I can send out the host packet. When I send out their host packet, I put an X, or if they already got their packet at the show, I'll circle it. That way I know they got that. If I text them, I put a T. When they text back, I circle it so I know that we're in communication via text. If their Facebook event has been set up for them, I do a Facebook event after a little dance. When I send them a Facebook message, I put Facebook message, so that way I know I've talked to them. If I'm doing a video, I'll send them, that I've sent them the video. But again, all of this is all set up on a spreadsheet, so I have like my Facebook friend request, and I can just go through and check mark down the line, so I know I've done it all. If they're interested in doing what I do, I put a C. Every time I send an email, I'm going to date when I've sent that email, because I want to be able to know that I'm communicating with them enough, but not too much, right? And this could be very, very overwhelming. So you're looking at this going, I can't do that. If you have their drawing slip, write on this. Just keep them somewhere so that way you know where they are. But you can write on this, talk to da-da-da, picked menu, talk to this, text message, has 10 people coming. Whatever it is, that way, whatever system works for you, you want to find a system and work with that. Okay. I went backwards. Let me go forwards again. But yeah, but it's a partnership, and you want to make sure that you're communicating with your host, because then it is you and your host working together. Because at the end of the day, she wants to have a really great party and get a ton of free stuff, and you want to get a really great paycheck, And if your host only ends up with a $300 party, how likely is she to say, oh my gosh, you should have your own party. I got $55 and I got $35 in free stuff. You should do this too. If she got $215 in free stuff, she can go, oh my gosh, Chris did a fantastic show. I got $215 in free stuff. And she's going to tell all of her friends to book a show, right? Because they all need to do that too. So this week's focus, we were talking about belief, passion, skill, and will. These are our 4 pillars of success. So this week's focus is skill. So if this is something that you're not skilled at, if host coaching is something you need help with, take the host coaching course. And, skill is an easy thing to fix, because you just simply work on it. You do more every day. You take more training. You can always become more skillful in an area that you're not skilled in right now by doing some training, by using your tools at home, by developing personal stories about the items you're using, studying the catalog. It is a great resource. It has a ton of information in there about the products that's really going to help you with booking shows and recruiting. Listening to home office trainings or watching them, and Chris is going to be watching from Hawaii some conference stuff. So if you can listen, if you can't go to conference, listen to conference. If you can't come to team meetings, watch on Facebook when we go Facebook Live. Team meetings are crucial. Recipe nights, new consultant trainings, any of those things that we are offering, participate. Even if you're not a new consultant, I don't care. Say, hey, I want to do that. I want to, coach me like you would a brand new consultant. All right, it's a 4-call series. Let's do it. It's called Strong Start. If you need a strong start, let's do it. But there's accountability involved. Listening to tips from the top. That's Wednesdays. Home office offers them. They're also doing a Saturday calls in the morning that anyone and everyone can call into. You read books. You know, I always say that leaders are readers. But if you're wanting to lead in this industry, read books. I constantly have books in front of me. I'm currently reading The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth and What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. This book was written in 1989. So it was talking about computers and ROMs, and I'm like, how old is this book? But it's got some great principles about positive self-talk. So that way you're not like Debbie Downer, you know, you can actually talk yourself into having better successes. So watch YouTube trainings. YouTube trainings are going to revolutionize. You know, you can see what someone else does and go, oh my gosh, I'm not a Michael Reeves, but I loved what he said there. How can I make that me? You know, do a lot of shows. It fixes itself. Your skills will fix themselves. The more shows you do, you're going to get better every single show. And I know I'm running out of time, but I do want to tell you a quick story. I tell all my brand new consultants, as I say, you know, in your first 6 weeks of business, that's your training period. If you were to start a brand new job tomorrow and you have your first day on Monday and you don't have your second day until the following Friday, how much are you going to remember? Not very much, right? So that's the same thing with Pampered Chef. So when people first get started with Pampered Chef and they book one show for this week and their next show is not for 3 weeks, how much are they going to remember? I always say try to book at least 2 shows a week and try to do them back to back. So do a Friday and a Saturday. Or do a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Do 3 shows. Because then, and do the same recipe at all of them. Because by that third show, it's no longer about the recipe. You know the recipe. It's about the products and how you interact with people while you're using them. But yeah, so, you know, skills are easily taught and easily caught. So it's something you can always get better at. So we have some homework. The homework is to listen to the host coaching course. This one is under the host coaching on Pampered Chef University. When you click on the course, you can go to peer sharing, and it is, you know, helping hosts max their shows. And it's by Lisa Noto and Michael Yoakley. And this one was actually one of the courses offered last year at conference. And it is a phenomenal one to listen to. It's an audio. You can download it to your phone, listen to it in the car on the way to or from work, and give you some stuff there. So then be sure to talk and communicate with me. How many shows are you willing to commit to booking this week? Chris has yet to do this, and it's the 3rd week. How many coaching calls will you commit to doing this week? Set a follow-up call with someone. It says with your recruiter. I didn't recruit either of you, but hey, if you need someone to smack you around, I can smack you around. How many leads did you get? How many bookings did you get? Where are you at with sales? Right now we're doing free-for-all. I mean, like, the sky is the limit. Earn as many of those products as you can. What is something you're having trouble with this week? And what's something that you can say, look at what I did. I'm super proud of that. You know, I will do a brag moment because I'm super proud. I just hit level 2 in free-for-all. So I got 3 shows next week. I'm hoping to hit level 3.
Nice.
So, and by the way, one of those shows for next Thursday, I booked on Friday for next Thursday. So don't think that you have to book 2, 3, 4 weeks away. You can book for a week out. She's got 11 people confirmed coming right now.
Nice.
Because here's what I told her. She was going to look at July. She was looking at June. She was like, I don't really know what. And I said, you know what? Here are my dates for June. Here are my dates for July. Here's the specials. It's really up to you. She goes, well, what if I booked for next week? Would people actually come? And I said, actually, you'll probably have more people show up because they're going to know right away whether or not they can come. She was like, all right, let's do it. And she's got 11 coming. And I think she's going to sign up as a consultant so you could see her at training.
Nice.
Alrighty, so do you guys have any questions for me? I know we have 3 minutes left.
Are you gonna put the PowerPoint on the event?
I'll email it or I'll Facebook message it to you because if
Okay.
I put it out, I'll send it to you individually if you want it. I have one of my directors who wants it as well, so I send it to her after the call because she likes to go through the information herself and kind of dive into it. But if I put it out there for anyone and everyone, then it doesn't mean that they won't come here first.
Okay.
But I'll send it to you. So, and I know that Francia is going to go back and watch calls 1 and 2.
Yes.
And then there's homework. So post what you loved, what you're learning, and we want to hear your brag moments, what you're doing that's working well. And if you need help with stuff, let me know, because, I can't help if I don't know. And,
Awesome.
and those kind of things. So we will be meeting next week, same time, 8:30, for about
Okay.
40 minutes. And we'll be talking more about our, one of our 4 pillars of skill, will, all that stuff, passion, and belief.
Awesome.
All righty, so we're going to
Awesome.
call it. Thank you guys so much
Thanks,
for joining me
Thank
in my
you.
office that is also been combined to my bedroom, apparently. So you guys have a great rest of your week. I can't wait to hear
You
great
too.
things.
Thank you,
Have a
Christina.
good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye.